Hey, good morning, listeners. Welcome to another thought provoking episode of 5G 6G Pulse. I'm your host, Modi Darani, and today episode is all about how 6G will be giving satellite communication a major boost to provide high speed internet even to the last mile. We are entering a world where satellite and 6G won't just coexist, they will collaborate. Let's break this down. So, here how we are going. We have divided the whole topic into five segments, starting from role of satellite communication today. First, let's take a moment to understand the role of satellite already play in our lives. So, if you remember those days, we used to see a big TV antenna or satellite dish installed on top of the local cable operator building. That was like the master station for the entire neighborhood. And then in our own house, when we had a small parabolic dish antenna on the roof. Remember those monsoon days when the TV suddenly went blank and we would say, "Oh, it is raining. The dish won't work now." These signals usually operate in high frequency bands like Ku band, which is 12 to 18 gigahertz, and Ka band, 26 to 40 gigahertz. Now here, the thing, the higher the frequency, the more sensitive it is to obstacle like water, cloud, or even humidity. So back then, we were actually witnessing the early days of satellite television without even realizing how revolutionary it was. Now, before moving further, just a quick question just popped into my mind. How far are these satellites actually located from Earth? Satellites are classified into three categories like GEO, MEO, and LEO, depend on their location from the Earth. GEO, geostationary Earth orbit satellite, typically orbit at an altitude of 35,786 kilometers above Earth. This orbit is used for application like traditional TV satellites. Another satellite are medium Earth orbit satellites, typically orbit at an altitude between 2,000 and 20,000 kilometers above Earth. This orbit is used for application like navigation, GPS, GLONASS, and communication. Well, most of the communication satellite we hear about today, like Starlink or OneWeb or Kuiper, are part of what we call LEO, that is, low Earth orbit satellites. They are positioned about 550 kilometers above the Earth, right around the thermosphere layer of our atmosphere. Not too far, but far enough to see half the Earth at once. In today's episode, we are mostly focusing on LEO satellite only. So, what role do these satellites already play in our lives? First, they provide internet in places where it is nearly impossible to lay fiber cables like forests, deserts, mountains, or even ships sailing in the middle of the ocean. They also broadcast TV and radio signal, especially in areas where traditional ground based towers can't reach. LEO satellites play a critical role in military operation, aviation, and maritime communication, keeping planes and ships connected across oceans and skies. And finally, satellites play a huge role in GPS navigation, weather forecasting, and even emergency disaster response, guiding us, warning us, and helping save lives when it matters most. So, as you can see, even before 6G enters the picture, satellite communication is already a silent force behind many of the systems we depend on every day. Then, what is the limitation? Right now, satellite networks face a few key limitations like slower speed, higher latency, and limited bandwidth. And a big part of that challenge is simply the distance between a satellite in orbit and the device in your hand. That's exactly where 6G comes in to bridge those gaps and take satellite connectivity to a whole new level. Now let's talk about what makes 6G such a game changer, especially when it comes to satellite communication. 6G is not just the next version of mobile communication, it is a massive leap in connectivity. Here, how 6G will supercharge satellite communication. First off, 6G introduced a new frequency range called FR3, operates between 7 to 15 gigahertz range. This means satellite can now transmit more data at faster speed and with lower delay, bringing near fiber like internet even to places where no tower or cable exist. And do you know why we talk about gigahertz frequency and when we talk about satellite communication? The ionosphere doesn't block all radio frequency. It reflects low frequencies and let high frequency like gigahertz pass through. Because high frequency waves of 6 gigahertz signals don't interact much with electrically charged particles known as ion and electrons present at the ionosphere. They just pass through. Mostly for satellite communication, we use Ku-band, which is 12 to 18 gigahertz between user terminal and satellite, which is a subset of microwave frequency. Right? These frequencies are so fast, that is so short in wavelength, that the free electrons in the ionosphere can't keep up with their oscillation, and it can easily penetrate the ionosphere. Right? 6G offer a new frequency range FR3 operating in 7 to 15 gigahertz range because the existing lower frequency bands sub 6 gigahertz are already crowded with mobile networks, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, etc. Satellite need cleaner airspace, so they go higher up in the spectrum, uh, so that they come with the new FR3 frequency range. Second, 6G merges terrestrial network like cell tower with non-terrestrial network like satellites. In simple terms, your 6G device will be able to switch seamlessly between cell tower and satellite, no dropouts, no dead zones, whether you are in a city or in the middle of the ocean. Third, and this one exciting, 6G enabled direct to device satellite link, which means no need for bulky dishes or special modems anymore. Your smartphone, wearable, or IoT device could talk directly to a satellite in space just like it does with a tower today. Sound futuristic, right? But this is exactly where we are headed. In short, 6G does not just improve satellite communication, it transforms it into something smarter, faster, and far more human centric. Alright, now let's go into the exciting part. How does satellite communication actually get better with 6G? Let me break it down for you. First, ultra fast satellite internet. Imagine getting fiber like internet speed while you are out at sea, deep in forest, or even in the middle of a desert. With 6G, that's no longer just a dream, but 6G makes that a reality. Then there is reliable connectivity in remote and rural areas. With satellite integrated into the 6G network, no region is left behind. So things like online education, remote healthcare, and even e-commerce can finally reach the last mile, the places that were previously left behind. Next, enhance direct to home broadcasting. We are talking about smaller, smart receiver dishes, or in some cases, no dishes at all. Satellite receiver could be built right into your smart TV, delivering Ultra HD, real time content anywhere. Now, here a big one, disaster proof network. In situation like flood, earthquake, when ground network collapse, 6G satellite keep people and rescue operation connected. And finally, low latency application. Think of drone deliveries, telemedicine, autonomous transport, all made possible with high speed, low latency satellite connections powered by 6G. Pretty incredible, right? We are not just improving what already exists, we are expanding what's possible. Now let's see what are the real world use case coming from. First, global internet from low Earth orbit satellite. Companies like Starlink and OneWeb are already offering satellite internet, but with 6G coming in, it is going to be faster, more affordable, and more accessible to people around the world. With LEO satellite, low Earth orbit, we achieve a typical data rate of 52 to 50 Mbps and latency as low as 20 to 40 milliseconds. With 6G satellite communication, we are stepping into a world of gigabit speeds from space and latency as low as 10 milliseconds. Next, precision agriculture. Imagine a farmer in rural India or Africa using a regular smartphone to access real time satellite data for irrigation and crop health. Next, space to earth, cloud storage, and streaming. Yes, cloud data might soon be orbiting about above us. With faster 6G links, you could download or stream directly from satellite. And finally, mobile on the move. Whether you are flying in an air, speeding on a bullet train, or sailing across the sea, 6G satellite will keep you connected in real time. These are not just ideas anymore, they are just around the corner. 6G satellite communication is a game changer, but it also brings a new set of challenges, especially regarding space traffic, safety, and sustainability. Once 6G is live and direct to device satellite connectivity become mainstream, every country and company will want their own constellation in space. We are talking thousands, even tens of thousands of satellites being launched to keep up with global coverage. And that leads to a new serious problem like space traffic congestion. Imagine highway packed with vehicles. Now picture that is in Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit is already getting crowded with constellation like Starlink, 40,000 plus planned satellite, OneWeb, Amazon Kuiper, and more. Increased traffic equals to higher risk of collision between satellites. Even a small crash in space can generate thousands of fragments. Second disadvantage of space debris, we call it Kessler syndrome. One broken satellite is not just a problem, it is a chain reaction it triggers. If debris crashes into other satellite, it can create a cascade of uncontrolled fragments. This is known as Kessler syndrome, where debris keep multiplying, making orbit unusable for decades. This could threaten global internet, GPS, climate monitoring, and future space mission. Next disadvantage. Let's talk about something that often gets overlooked, the environmental side of satellite launches. Every time we launch a satellite, there's a fuel being burned, carbon emissions released, and sometimes even booster part falling into the ocean or lingering in the upper atmosphere. In fact, some types of rockets even contribute to ozone depletion in the stratosphere. So, here the irony is on one hand, we are talking about sustainability and going green, and on the other hand, we are pushing forward the innovation that's leaving a bigger carbon footprint. Now, here is the final thought. 6G plus satellite are going to connect the world like never before, but it must be balanced with responsible innovation. We need global policies for satellite traffic management, debris cleanup, and shared orbital zones. Tech companies and government need to collaborate, not just compete to flood the skies. And space mission should follow a launch clean deorbit model where satellites are removed safely after use instead of turning into floating junk. Also, one thought, why can't companies like SpaceX and OneWeb share satellite infrastructure the way mobile network do RAN sharing on Earth? It would reduce the number of launches, lower emission, and make space more efficient. Just like on Earth, maybe the future of space is also about working together, not just racing ahead. So, with that being said, it brings us to the end of today's episode. The future is above us literally. As 6G and satellites come together to bridge the last mile, let's make sure we are building a connected world that's also conscious, collaborative, and clean. Thanks for tuning in into this episode of 5G 6G Pulse. If this resonates with you, feel free to share it with someone in technology or just drop your thought. I would love to hear your feedback because the future is not just being imagined, it is being engineered by us. If you found this podcast valuable, just hit the follow button on your favorite platform to stay updated. Until next time, this is Modi Dirani reminding you keep your eyes on the skies and your mind on the future. And as the music play, take a moment to reflect on the today's insight and key takeaways from what we have covered today. The, the satellite communication, how it helps today, how it improve with the 6G, what are the disadvantages, what are the use cases. Right? Thank you. God bless and catch you in the next one. Bye.